What are the issues at the top of your agenda for this year's annual meeting, especially in your capacity as co-chair?
This year's annual meeting comes at a time when an economic crisis and tackling of climate change are at the helm of focus for all of us. The Copenhagen Summit has deeply emphasized the challenge that humanity faces from climate change, sharply reiterating the urgent need for a sustainable growth agenda for the world. Although these two issues may seem almost disparate, but to me they are not, and they form the basis of my agenda as co-chair. Both are global challenges and both need coordinated, rapid, and overwhelming response from the global community. I see tremendous socio-economic possibilities of a low-carbon, ecologically sustainable growth in the future.
What does the theme for the meeting, Improve the State of the World, Rethink, Redesign, Rebuild, mean for your organization and for your industry?
For me, it means rethinking, redesigning, and rebuilding some of the fundamentals of the economic systems with the lessons learned from the downturn. We have an absolutely unique opportunity today, but it comes with its set of challenges. The first big challenge comprises of ecological sustainability and tackling climate change. The second is that of reducing poverty and inequality in the world, even as the world population increases. To me, if you combine these two challenges, they present an opportunity. The key is looking at the very fundamental fact that the developing world, which is where most of the world's poor are, has still to build most of its energy infrastructure, physical infrastructure, and to buy most of its consumer goods. This very simple fact that the developing world does not have these things and will build these things as it moves forward towards prosperity is the great opportunity for tackling climate change and ecological sustainability. So how can this happen? What are the technological and financial issues involved? Where do we start? What role will policy play? There are all questions that require fundamental rethink, redesign, rebuild approach, and this will improve the world. Let me emphatically reiterate that IT, the industry that I deal with, will have a big role in this green growth. This is simply because IT is a powerful driver of efficiency and efficacy for organizations, for assets, and for systems. For example, GHG intensity of power grids or even the fuel systems in a car can be significantly reduced by using IT, because it will use less energy and have less waste. We are doing this all the time, and the value of this will only increase as the world starts valuing GHG appropriately. So IT will have a big role to play in this new world.
What is your outlook for the global economy in 2010?
Last 12 to 18 months have been obviously very difficult for the global economy. However, I think the worst is over, and 2010 looks positive. The road to recovery for different economies would be different. While the mature economies are taking time, the emerging economies like India, Brazil, and China have already started to show smart growth recoveries. I'm positive especially about the IT sector, since it's a basic tool for efficiency, improvement, and transformation. Given the challenges placed by the economic environment, I think most businesses are looking even more for how IT can help them.
How do you think the looming water crisis can be best tackled, and is it getting the attention it deserves?
To see the water crisis, you don't need to see the heart-rending sight of an undernourished woman with a child in her arm walking 5 kilometers to get drinking water, which is common across much of the developing and poor world. You can see the water crisis in the coal statistics. Per person, fresh water availability has dropped by 6% in the past 20 years. It will drop by a further 12% by 2050 as the world population grows to 9 billion. But this global average hides the catastrophic differences across regions. For example, the abundance of water in the Nordic countries cannot compensate for years of drought in central India or in Central Asia. We have not yet talked about the effect of climate change, which is fundamentally changing the water balance of the planet. Look at the rate of the melting of the Himalayan glaciers. In a few decades, we may have no glaciers. Over 1 billion people live on the rivers fed by these glaciers. In India, in China, in Bangladesh, and in Pakistan. How will we deal with this? We need to think and act on this today. The magnitude of the crisis is apparent, and so is the fact that it hits the poor the hardest. We must use water responsibly, as consumers, as industry, and as societies. We must use less water and reuse our water smartly. It can start in a small way by just stopping leaking taps. The action needs to be both big and small, and it needs to be now.